Are you a technician who wants to set yourself apart? Then the Trusted Technician Podcast is for you. I'm Derek Hoferter, coach and trainer at SBE, and on this podcast, we will have experienced HVAC coaches and trainers, as well as top-performing technicians, all sharing their tips and strategies to help you be more successful. Hey everybody, this is Coach Derek. The ideas and the strategies that you hear on this podcast come from training and coaching. If you would like access to this coaching, the stuff that you hear these technicians share on this podcast that's made them super successful, we want to coach and train you. We're going to be coming to a city near you for a live 2-day in person where you're going to be learning how to have higher average ticket, how to close more opportunities, and how to become the trusted technician. We're coming to cities such as Nashville, Richmond, Virginia Beach, Charlotte, Phoenix, Houston, and Dallas. To learn more, visit sbeodyssey.com. We'd love to see you there.
Welcome to the Trusted Technician Podcast. This is Coach Derek at SBE. Today, I'm at the George Brazil offices in Phoenix, and we're going to sit down and talk with Charlie. Charlie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for joining us. So, Charlie, we've got a lot I think we can talk about. Tell me a little bit, though, to get started with, how did you get into HVAC? Why are you an HVAC tech?
Well, first, I'm from Texas, and I started out there. I was going to take over my uncle's business out there, but I ended up meeting somebody and moving out here. So now I'm here.
Okay.
That's how I got here.
Okay, so kind of got into it because it's the family business,
Yeah.
but then situation changed, and now you're out here. So how long have you been an HVAC technician for?
I've been an HVAC technician for 8 years.
8 years, okay. And last year was your first year
Sales role
at George Brazil and first year. And when you say sales, like as a sales tech, because there are non-selling techs, selling techs,
Right.
You're specifically referring to that now you're allowed to sell equipment.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do from the beginning is, as soon as I saw a sales tech at my first company's checks, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So that's how I got into it.
But prior to this last year, you were in that kind of non-selling.
Not selling. I was strictly maintenance. I was strictly repair.
Okay.
And then I kind of jumped up.
Okay, and in that role, if you came across an older system or a replacement, you would turn the lead over to somebody else. Okay, you wanted to get in the role because you could make more money, obviously, but just what about in general? Do you like sales? Do you have a sales background or?
No, I don't have a sales background. I think I'm pretty good and smooth at talking with people. I'm pretty good at making them feel comfortable. So as soon as I found that out about myself, I figured I should probably go into sales or into the sales side of things or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
and obviously you did really well. What was your revenue last year?
1.7 and some change.
Yeah, you are a rookie of the year in your first time in the rankings. You were top 5?
Yeah, top 5.
Yeah, so it was quite a splash.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
No, like working your way up from whatever, just go right to the top 5.
No, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I had no doubt in myself, though.
So you did 1.7 last year. What was your goal?
450,000.
Okay. Where did the 450 come from?
Since this was a turn of a page for me, I wasn't sure how I was going to do. So I wanted to set it low, something that I knew was achievable. That way, if I set it too high and I don't reach it, it's not discouraging.
True.
But as soon as I started selling units, I knew that it was going to be cake. So,
yeah. How soon into the year did you hit the 450?
I mean, it was probably March.
Okay, so you're like 3 months in and you're like, well, okay.
Yeah, it's probably March or April, somewhere around there.
So then did you do like a goal adjustment or was there kind of like a rethinking?
I did a goal adjustment. So every, I would say quarter or something like that, I would up it because I was achieving everything that I set it to.
Yeah.
And then I think I set it to 1.5 and I hit 1.7 by the end of the year.
Okay. How important to that 1.7 was the goal setting process of, you said every 3 months, kind of sitting down there, examining things and moving that number. Do you feel like that helped you with the revenue that you did?
Yeah, I think so. What helped me the most was the incentive.
Yeah.
Right? So it's what you can make. It's how quickly you can make it. It's not all about money, but, money is motivating. So that was it, really.
Okay. So in those goal setting conversations then, it's like, hey, Charlie, like, what money are you trying to make? Like, what do you want to accomplish? Or what are your goals? And then attaching that into, okay, well, if you sell this many systems or if you do this revenue, those things can coincide. Is that kind of how it went?
Yeah, so my goal, I wanted to make $100,000, I think, the first year.
Yeah.
Exceeded that. So then my goal was 450,000, then it moved up to $1 million, then it moved up to 1.5, and now I'm well over $100,000, and by the end of it is over 200 for myself. And then
what's your revenue goal for this year?
2.3.
2.3. Okay. So, and how did you come up with that number, the 2.3?
Well, I was at 1.7. I said if I was to, and I wasn't even able to sell equipment at the beginning.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, well, if I can get good at it and then I can start selling from the beginning of this year, then I'm sure I could hit 2.3. That's another, I don't know, 2 months of selling.
True.
So 300,000 away from 2 million, another 300,000 away from 2.3. 600,000 is all I need to gain from what I did last year in order to hit my goal.
Okay, that makes sense. So that 450,000 goal that you set at the beginning of last year, that was not encompassing that you're going to be selling systems.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, that's a pretty healthy goal from just service, right?
I think I sold that, just off of like duct cleans and add-on products.
The 450.
Yeah, and then I started selling maybe a few systems here and there, but then I really started selling equipment.
Okay, great. Okay, so obviously you're doing really well. When you are being dispatched out to a house, what is going through your mind? Like, what is your strategy, or what is your process, or what are you thinking?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm not thinking about anything. I keep in my head as clear as possible.
Why is that?
Because I don't want to pressure myself. Yeah, that's where I start making mistakes. So what I do is I just do what I would normally do. I'm either listening to music, I'm listening to like a Joe Rogan podcast, whatever the case may be, and then I get there, and then I just start talking to them. You know, I find common interests, something that I do that they also do, something that they do that I also do, and just kind of chat for a little bit, and then I'll go out there. I'm not there, I'm there to be their friend, you know, but I can also be their salesman or their repairman.
Okay.
So
is that a different approach than, you know, you've been doing this for 8 years, you had a really successful year last year. Has your approach changed at all? Do you feel like from when you were first starting out?
No, I think I gotten the process down a little bit better. I don't think anything else has changed.
Okay.
I'm still just as motivated.
Tell me about the process. Like when you say process, what do you mean?
You know, just dialing in the value, building value, dialing in what else I can talk about that we can relate to one another. Now I'm starting to have repeat customers. So now I go in there and most of the time I'm not maintaining their systems or anything. I'm mostly talking to them. And so I know that that's going to be a for sure go whenever that time comes. But yeah, it's just dialing in your process. You know, how long you spend with the customer, how long you spend on the actual maintenance, how often do you go from maintaining the unit to talking to the customer, just everything. Okay,
yeah. And when we were talking earlier, you were mentioning that you've had some success with running maintenance visits on younger systems, right? You were mentioning, and I want to ask you about this because I often hear from technicians, there's no opportunity there. They hate those, they feel like it's a waste, but you were actually telling me that you've had a decent amount of success. Why is that?
Yeah, so for example, a 4-year-old maintenance policy we'll say a 5-year-old maintenance policy. 5-year-old maintenance policy on a new home, they're only gonna, most of the time, have 5-year parts, right? So I'm just gonna go in there, I already know that, but I'm gonna play dumb. They don't know that I know that. So I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna do my maintenance, I'm gonna find every little thing that I can, rather your capacitor's getting weak, there's oil on both motors, blower motor, condenser motor, whatever the case may be, they're not overamping, they're still passing, but I'm gonna say, hey, look, everything's running, nothing's overamping, but you do have these issues that could potentially be catastrophic, whatever. And then that brings it to their attention, like, okay, well, maybe my system isn't as healthy as I thought it was. So if you don't have any warranty, this is what you're looking at. You know, you can spend a ton of money just in repairs whenever you should invest that money into a 10-year parts and labor warranty. If you're not going to go anywhere within the next 10 years, that makes sense.
Yeah. So your strategy then is to be so thorough, like find everything and show them everything.
All I ask for is their time. That's all I ask for.
Okay. Yeah, I think that even that, you know, like I was saying, a lot of technicians don't like those because they say there's like no opportunity, the system's running fine.
That's a chance to try new techniques and new ways of sales, or something, just kind of test different scenarios.
That's a great mindset. That is a good test ground.
Great, because you're not going into a policy or anything like that with everything running fine to sell a unit. But if you can bring enough stuff to their attention, create enough value to where they can do that, then you just achieved something. So now you just kind of, if you can sell on policies, you eliminate a slow season.
It's true.
So it's always going to be busy for you.
It's true. Which, especially here in Phoenix, that's important because people only really need to run their system like 3 to 4 months out of the year, right? So it's good. Something you mentioned earlier too is the duct cleans that you did quite a bit of those last year. Almost hit your original goal just with like duct cleans and add-ons.
Right.
What's the strategy for selling a duct cleaning? So again, that's something where I think a lot of technicians, they could, but they don't quite know how to approach it. So what's your strategy there?
So I'm going to look at your system. I'm going to take off some registers. I'm going to look in your registers. I'm going to see if it's sealed. I'm going to find any kind of air opening that air could be coming in or going out. And then I'm going to take a video of it. I'm going to send my videos to the customer's phone. And then I'm also going to take off a register. I'm going to probably wipe it with my hand. I'm going to show the customer exactly what's coming into their home, what they're breathing. I'm going to ask them if they have any allergy issues. Most of the time I ask them if they have allergies or anything like that beforehand, and then I'm going to show them, well, this is probably why.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to offer my recommendations at that point.
Okay.
What do they think that's doing to their system and their home?
So some good impact questions, like what do you think the impact of this is, right? Yeah. Okay, so you're getting them that info, it sounds like a few different ways. You mentioned the video or the photo. Why the video and the photo?
Because for one, they're going to have it for their record, right? So you can't go, even if they don't go with it, you can't go back to their house and say you didn't recommend that if something happens.
Okay, so a CYA.
They have it. Yeah, it's a CYA.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll wipe it, and then I'll ask them. I said, how do you think this is making your system operate? I make it urgent. I make it important. That this can damage your system. It can damage your home. I mean, this is stuff that you're breathing in. It can make allergies worse. Also, if you have leaks in your ductwork, if you have leaks in your system, it's more than likely, if you're in a horizontal setting, you're going to be cooling your attic. Why are you cooling your attic if no one's living in it?
Yeah, and how hot are attics here in Phoenix during the summer?
170, 60 degrees, something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so and you said something too that I want to highlight that's really important. Because you said, homeowner, this might be affecting your allergies, but you said you already know that info, right? You already know
I'm going to get all that stuff from the beginning.
Okay, why?
That's for me to feed off of later. So if I get what is wrong with them, that's kind of getting into like anchors.
Yeah, to like draw back to, right?
It's okay. So I'm looking at all this and I'm like, well, you mentioned earlier that you have a lot of allergies. Okay. Do you think this is contributing to that? So if they're like, well, yeah, it could be, then, and I create yeses throughout the whole process. Whatever the case may be. Do you mind if I wash my hands? Yes. Do you mind if I use your bathroom? Yes. I create yeses, so it's like a psychological thing. And so whenever it comes down to, for a big ticket item or any kind of item, might be more of a yes than it would be a no, Right.
Yeah, so I like what you're saying because I think maybe what you're saying is it puts anything that you find into a context that the homeowner can understand.
Yeah.
Right, because the vast majority of the time they don't know anything about HVAC.
Right.
Right, it's all they know is how to operate the thermostat, and maybe even not great with that.
I could go into it and I could say, hey, if this all builds up on your coil, it's going to create this, it's going to do this, and then your system's not going to work. But they wouldn't know what that means, so I got to put it in a way where they understand it.
Right, and they understand I have allergies.
Yeah.
Right, or they understand I have high utility bills, energy bills, or
exactly.
Whatever it is. That's going to kind of direct how you bring that up to them, right, for the context. So that means that you've got to be thorough with asking a bunch of questions at the beginning.
Yeah, and it can't be one, you got to play it cool, though, because you can't be one right after the other.
Yeah, like an interrogation?
Yeah, like an interrogation room. It can't be like that. But,
So then how do you approach it then? So they don't feel like they're getting interrogated.
It's all throughout the conversation that we're having about common interests. So whatever it is, if they have an old school car in their garage, I'm going to be talking about that. And then somehow I'm going to veer off to this, ask them that question, get the answer, and then I'm going to go back to what we were talking about before.
It kind of sounds like you have a nice natural, ability with customers, but is there an element to that you feel is just intentional practice and kind of even like you said on the younger policies, like here's an opportunity to practice some of these questions? How much of it is that's just who you are versus I really actually had to practice this and build reps?
Well, a lot of it was practice. I really did have to practice for it, but I would say 50-50. If I'm out away from work, I'm still the same person. I feel like I'm just kind of a likable guy. Mm-hmm. But I've always been that way. I'm good with making people my friends and making people feel comfortable inside and outside of work. It just happens I'm successful with it whenever it's inside work.
Yeah, I think that's important because I think most consumers or homeowners can detect fake rapport building because that's what salespeople do, right? Yeah. Salespeople have the double guns, right? Hey, I see you're wearing a Cardinals shirt. You like right? They can tell when it's fake versus they can tell when it's actually authentic. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and my demeanor too, whenever I go there, I'm going to go in there like I don't really care. That might not be the strategy for everybody, but, I'm going to make them think if the ball's in your court, you tell me what you want to do. If you want an old, dirty system that's barely working, that's fine. But if you want me to help you out and fix the issue, I can do that too. But, I go in there like it's not even a big deal to me.
Yeah. Okay. So, you've got a big goal for this year. You're on pace to do it. One final question before I let you go. What are you specifically focusing on now, like getting better at? And what new things are you trying? Or what do you know, like I need to improve X to get to my goal?
So one thing that I'm trying now is with equipment add-ons, selling equipment with add-ons. So that's a new thing for me this year. I didn't even think about doing that last year. I wish I would have. But now I'm doing it. So it's like a system sell with a duct clean test and seal. So that way my average ticket's higher, I meet my goal faster. But yeah, that's what I'm focusing on now, and it's worked really well for me up from the beginning of the year to now. It's worked very well for me.
Nice. And I'm sure there's a little bit of getting used to higher and higher numbers, being comfortable. I think maybe, and I don't know if this is true for you or not, but I think for a lot of technicians who sell, sometimes they're avoidant of adding on things because they're already kind of hesitant about the price.
They're ready. If they're already going to spend, say, $16,000 with you, what's another $3,500?
It's a good attitude to have.
Especially if they're financing, they protect that investment. With a
financing is the key. It really is the key, right?
Yeah, 100%. If they want to pay out of pocket, that's fine. But if they want to finance, I feel like that's even better.
All right, perfect. So, Charlie, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Absolutely, no problem.
Thank you for listening to the Trusted Technician Podcast. If you would like to learn more about SBE, you can find us online at sbeodyssey.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.